What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic day as always. I'm Andrew, and this segment's called Brew with Drew. And if you haven't been to one of these, it's very simple. I'm just gonna chillax to this, today it's this Lagunitas IPA, and just rap about some current camera topic, right? And so, I thought about it, and, you know what? Probably the segment of cameras that interests me the most right now is this like sub 5,000 cinema camera thing, right? So the Canon R5c, right, or the Sony FX3 or the Panasonic S1H or Gh6, right? Like these I think in this price range, right, this like sub 5,000. Camera companies really have to give you as much as they can offer, right? Like they have to kind of give you everything because the competition, especially right now, is like super hot, right? So, give me a second here. Hang on. All right. This is Lagunitas IPA. So, in this topic, right, I want to discuss what camera company did it right. And what I mean by that is there's, I would say, different ways that either Sony or Canon or Panasonic, heck, even Fuji has gave us the budget cinema camera kind of option, right? Like, for instance, right, Canon's new R5c that came out, right? Super interesting camera. I don't think it was the best approach, though, right? This dual-booted OS type of monster thing, right? Now, I get why they did it, right? Like, it was probably, like the path of least resistance, right? Like they already had this Cinema OS devved out. They already had the Photo OS like devved out, right? Like instead of like trying to port over features from one or the other, we'll just slap both of them on there and give you a toggle, right? Great, right? But I don't think they did it right. Actually, the camera company that I think did it correctly is Panasonic, right? Like they've been doing the whole GH5 and now the GH6 and the S1H and the upcoming S5H rumored, right? For a second. So they've been giving us all these like Cinema S tools in one OS kind of thing, right? And I think they're doing this very well. Like they're able to give us, shutter angle and at least in the GH6, false color and these waveforms and anamorphic mode, right? All these options into one cohesive OS. You see, the problem with like the Canon R5c, I think that's a fantastic camera, but the problem with that camera, with this like dual OS kind of thing, is it requires the user, the operator, to manage settings for the camera, like with like two different GUIs, right? Like even if it's a setting that might be doing the same exact thing, like I have to like now doubly set that setting, you know what I mean? And so that is like, so I'm a DevOps engineer by day, and so I look at things like that and I see that as like poor user experience. Like that's just a poor UI choice. But I get it, right? I get why they did it, right? Like it was like at least development dollars, you know what I mean? But still, it just because I understand why they did it and because it like curbed some development costs doesn't mean I'm not going to knock it. It's still not the best approach to I think, to do this, like, what they're calling it now. the true cinema hybrid. That's what they're calling it, or the true hybrid camera. Like, we didn't have true hybrids before. That's weird. That's weird. But hang on here. So we got this dual booted OS, which is pretty unique. It's like the first camera to do something like that. But we have the Panasonics doing the Gh6 and the S1H kind of thing, where it's like one cohesive OS. What's really interesting is with Sony, especially with version 2.0 in the FX3, right? Because here, it feels like they're taking a page out of both playbooks, I guess, right? So they're going with that like cohesive OS approach, right? Like the Gh6 and the S1H and stuff. But since they have the FX6 to pull from, and then like their A7S3 to pull from, right? They're able to like even I feel like get a better like true hybrid like one OS approach kind of camera, right? Like, it's super interesting. Now, the FX3's OS is like not even close to what the Gh6 and the S1H has, right? Like, that the OSs that run those cameras have been around for quite a while, and they have a ton of options and features, and they're like solid, right? They're like solid OSs, right? But Sony gets me excited for the things to come. I mean, what the FX, and I hate to be like an FX3 fanboy right now, but it's hard not to be with this like version 2.0 update, because I see great things to come, right? Like, I watch firmware updates all day long, right? It's like one of my favorite things to like nerd out to, right? Like, I watch all the rumored channels. I do all the like the rumored sites just to watch firmware updates. A lot of times for cameras that I don't even own, just because I want to see the development that happens with them, right? So, the FX3 gets me excited because I think there's going to be really cool things to come with version 2.1 and 2.2 and 3.0, etc., right? So, yeah, what camera company did it right? I guess that's what we're answering today, and honestly, I think it's Panasonic. Now, I get that their autofocusing system isn't great. We're not talking about that, right? We're just talking about who did this like video-centric cinema hybrid Frankenstein camera the best. And I think it's Panasonic, especially with the Gh6, right? With that like super awesome tilty LCD screen. That thing is awesome. The fact that it has false color, shutter angle, waveform, anamorphic mode, open gate, has all the stuff, and it's able to do this in a way where all those options don't just seem so like overbearing, right? They're doing it really, really, really right. And I think Sony has a chance to really come up here. I really do. I hope they take advantage of it. I hope they continue with it. Honestly, like when it comes to Canon, as much as I love Canon, I have Canon cameras behind me. I mean, there's the C70, there's an R3. The way they approach the R5c, it's not like they can just like redo the drawing board on that, right? Like, they are stuck in like a dual booted OS like kind of situation there. And so, yeah, I don't think that's the best way to go about that. But, you know, these are my thoughts. As always, I want to know yours. Do you own an R5c? Like, how do you like it? Do you own an R5c and a C70? Like, what do you think is better? Do you like having to switch between both OSs? I mean, I think that's a major point, like, of contention, right? And do you own an FX3? Do you own a Gh6, right? Like, out of all those cameras, I guess my question to you all, what camera do you guys think did the cinema hybrid thing the best? You know, it's interesting. But enough of that jazz. I always say this, but know that you're loved and appreciated. If you haven't heard it today, let me be the first one to tell you you are loved and appreciated. And on that note, I'll see you all on the next one. Later, Drewskies.